critical and commercial failure, Wet Hot American Summer is a 2001 summer camp parody movie directed by David Wayne. It follows a staff and campers on their last day at Camp Firewood. Wayne has gone on to say that a large inspiration for Wet Hot American Summer, which I'll be calling Wet Hot, was through his own experiences at Jewish summer camps in Ohio and Maine. Initially, the film was panned by critics. Award-winning critic Roger Ebert gave it 1 out of 5 stars. His review was a parody of Alan Sherman's letter from camp.
Hello, mother. Hello, father.
Which is a parody of Ponchielli. So everyone is copying and remixing each other. But it was able to reach cult status with DVD sales and the advent of streaming. How was it able to not get lost in a sea of bad movies and come to be a cult classic? To answer this, you can point to 2 drastically different films. Airplane, directed by Jim Abrams, which is a chaotic parody of Zero Hour, and Meatballs, a raunchy teen summer camp movie. The point of intersection is where we find the absurd, indulgent, and nostalgic parody Wet Hot American Summer. But what makes it a parody? It's natural to believe that a parody is a piece of media that imitates another work to ridicule it, but Linda Hutchin, a literary theorist, proposed otherwise in her 1985 book, A Theory of Parody, The Teachings of 20th Century Art Forms. When discussing the origin and meaning of parody, Hutchin argues, there is nothing in parodia, which is Greek for countersong, that necessitates the inclusion of a concept of ridicule. Rather than tearing down the work it takes from, parody is used to recontextualize and synthesize its sources. Wet Hot exemplifies this idea. Wayne and Showalter are able to take these 2 pieces of media and make something new and exciting from them while honoring them. Up first is Airplane, a parody and a near direct copy of Zero Hour, which is a movie remake of a Canadian play, so lots of copies of copies. Both films are about a disgraced World War II pilot that must take control of a commercial flight after the pilots become seriously ill from the in-flight meal. Airplane is able to lay the groundwork for what would become Wet Hot's comedic style by taking typical situations and giving them an extra push into absurdity, like in this scene, when the protagonist Elaine announces,
"By the way, is there anyone on board who knows how to fly a plane?"
Chaos erupts, and a topless woman runs through the cabin. 2 men sword fight, religious leaders choke each other out. What would be a dire situation is transformed into something completely over the top and ridiculous. Wet Hot adopts this strategy and pushes it just a little bit further. For example, the scene where the camp counselors go into town with their camp director. Showalter and Wayne are able to start normal and light in the montage, sneaking beers and smoking cigarettes, but soon it divulges into something way darker. They start mugging old women, buying coke, and shooting heroin. This absurdity is just pushed a little bit more when they get back.
Hey guys, how was Waterville? Oh, it was really fun.
It's always fun to get away from camp, even for an hour.
Wet Hot is following Airplane's lead, taking a perfectly normal situation, like going into town or alerting a flight to an issue, and pushing it just a little bit more. While Airplane is able to lead Wet Hot through its comedy, Meatball is able to give them the tropes and camp movies Wayne and Showalter can deconstruct. Meatballs is filled with tons of summer camp movie tropes for Wet Hot to imitate. It has horny camp counselors and a rival camp. What else do you need? In the scene from Meatballs, we see camp counselors Spaz and Fink eavesdropping on some girls while they read a romance novel. Mirroring this, Wet Hot's Gary and AJ are spying on girls while they toss a beach ball around in their bathing suits. In Meatballs, the comedy in the scene is more explicit and well-worn. They talk about boners and the girls beat them up for eavesdropping. Wet Hot is able to flip it on its head. Gary and AJ are more concerned with how they throw the beach ball rather than their bodies, subverting expectations.
Total nymphos. Throw the ball. Yes!
While spying, they are discussing a plan to get their friend McKinley to sleep with one of the girls. Unaware that McKinley is having a passionate love affair with his boyfriend, Ben, played by Bradley Cooper. In the sex comedies Wet Hot takes from, McKinley would actually be the loser virgin they think he is, but Wet Hot subverts this trope by having McKinley be in a loving and supportive relationship with Ben. They even have a wedding and a wedding gift from their friends.
McKinley and Ben, this is for you.
It's a chaise lounge. We didn't know if maybe you guys already had one. We have the receipt if you do.
Another well-worn trope Wet Hot takes from is beating a rich rival camp. In Meatballs, they do it by pranking the competition. In Wet Hot, they completely skip over it. The campers feel as though it's
Pretty well-worn territory. The whole thing feels kind of trite. I say we forget it.
lampooning the tired trope. Wet Hot American Summer expands on the parody. It's able to lovingly take its influences, blending the comedy of Airplane and the nostalgic tropes of Meatballs. Wet Hot continuously pushes the normal into the ridiculous to recontextualize the familiarity of summer camp movies to make something entirely its own. This combination is how Wet Hot American Summer was able to endure the test of time and reach cult status.